This is guaranteed to be the absolute best Hot Pocket you've ever had in your entire life. And the best part is, this is 100% carnivore. Welcome to Apex, my name's Jacob, and what I'm about to share with you is a recipe for the ages. In front of me, I have 4,204 calories worth of carnivore foods. And what I intend to do with this is make carnivore Hot Pockets. Now, I'm a very simple guy. I don't need fancy recipes. I don't need fancy food. I'm just fine eating ground beef and steaks for every single meal. But with that said, I'm also very empathetic to the fact that some people like to have a little excitement in their food. And with holidays and family gatherings and events coming up, it's good to have a couple really good carnivore recipes up your sleeve so that you can share that with your friends and family, and you can show up to those events with amazing food. You don't feel alienated, and you might even convince somebody that going carnivore is not as boring as most people make it out to be. Now, even more amazing than the fact that this is 4,204 calories worth of carnivore foods, it also contains every single vitamin, mineral, and nutrient that we need to thrive in its most bioavailable forms. And yes, that includes vitamin C, it includes vitamin D, vitamin K, magnesium, manganese, and potassium, which are all nutrients that people claim that you cannot get on a carnivore diet. But if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to provide all the nutritional information for these carnivore Hot Pockets so that you can see just how nutrient dense these things really are. And even better than that is that all this food cost me a total of $7.40. All right, and again, that's 4,204 calories worth of food. My plan is to make one single Hot Pocket, but I may have to break it up into two because this is quite a bit of food. But I fully intend to consume this entire meal tonight for dinner. Now, obviously, if you're not a pig like me, you can probably split this up between 2 or 3 people. And $7.40 for that amount of food, that amount of nutrients, and that quality is absolutely freaking phenomenal. And one other fun fact before I dive into this is that all this food is sourced locally from my local community, my local butcher shops, and my local producers. With the exception, of course, of the Daisy sour cream, which I have not had sour cream since I started carnivore 5.5 years ago. But I'm gonna experiment on myself. I'm gonna add some to this food and try it out. So we're gonna see what happens. All right, so let's go through exactly what I have in front of me. I have my sour cream, which I just mentioned. This is Daisy. I'll probably just use a dollop of Daisy, like a tablespoon or an ounce or something like that. Next up, I have homemade tallow. If you want me to do a video on how I make my tallow, I can do that as well. But this is also made from beef suet from my local producer. I've got some pink Himalayan salt. I have 28 ounces of chicken leg quarter here. Now, when this is deboned, I'm gonna be left with 24 ounces of meat. I also have 12 ounces of local ground beef. This is 80/20 from my local butcher shop. I've got 2 pasture-raised eggs. I have 2 ounces of chicken liver. I've got 3 ounces of local pork sausage. Now, I'm not a huge fan of spices and stuff like that, but occasionally I do include them in my carnivore diet just to spice things up. And since this is local, it doesn't have any MSG or anything crazy in there. It's just very lightly spiced. And last but not least, I have 3 ounces of extra sharp cheddar cheese. And we can't forget about the processing methods. I'm going to grate my cheese. I'm going to use my Ninja to grind up my chicken, and I'm gonna cook everything in this air fryer. Now, I do use my Ninja quite a bit for grinding up meat because it is very, very fast and very effective. You can also use a standard meat grinder, just like the one I have right here. It works. Either one of them works just fine. This is just my preference because it's super quick and easy, and it's much easier to clean up than this big hoss right here. So with that said, let's dive right into this and let's make these carnivore Hot Pockets. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is debone my chicken leg quarter. Very, very simple, very straightforward. I've got a boning knife. My chicken leg quarter is actually somewhat frozen still, so it makes it really easy to debone. I hate deboning these things when they're completely thawed out because it's like a wet noodle and it like slips away from you. So I leave it halfway frozen. I just had it sitting out on the counter for like maybe 3 or 4 hours and still frozen in the middle, so it makes it much easier. All right, chicken leg quarter is deboned. Now I know what you're thinking. I'm peering inside your mind. I can hear your thoughts. You're thinking, why in the world did you debone that chicken leg quarter instead of just using chicken breast? Well, it's because I love fat, and chicken skin is very high in fat. And another good thing about chicken skin is it's also very high in vitamin E and several other nutrients that you don't get when you eat lean chicken breast. All right, so with my chicken deboned, I'm going to grind up my chicken meat with my Ninja. And if you've never done this, if you've never used a Ninja to grind up meat, you're about to see how fantastic this works. It is absolutely phenomenal, especially for something like this. It works very, very well. Simple as that. You don't have to sit there and crank. You don't have to sit there and grind. It works very well. And you can see it's a very sticky consistency, which is going to be fundamental for what we're doing here. And you're going to find that out here in a second. Overloaded it a little bit that time. So we're going to pull out what's ground up. There's a chunk down in there that's not. I'm going to add a little bit more. It should probably take it this time. It's very, very sticky. It's all over my hands. But again, very important, which you will see in a second. It's a lot of chicken. A lot of chicken. It's fantastic though. Look at that. It's very sticky, very ground up. It's exactly the way we want it. All right, Ninja's done. I don't need that anymore. I'm moving it out of my way. I got freaking chicken all over my hands here. Yeah, buddy, it gets messy up in here. All right, chicken's ground up. Now what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna add in 2 pasture-raised egg yolks. Why am I using the yolks only? Because I do not tolerate the whites very well. So I'm just gonna separate these out. Get rid of the whites. These will end up going in the garden as compost, which I have a community garden that I share with my family. I don't consume anything out of it personally, but it's great to provide for people that do like to eat vegetables. All right, so there's my 2 egg yolks. Now I'm just gonna dump my chicken right in there with those egg yolks, and I'm gonna mix this all together. Now, unfortunately, I forgot my spoon, so boning knife it is. As long as it's mixed up, it doesn't matter what you use, as long as you don't cut yourself. All right, chicken's mixed up, and the reason we added the egg yolks in there, FYI, is to just hold everything together, because once this cooks, the eggs will cook into the meat, and it's gonna kind of help bind everything together after it's cooked so it doesn't fall apart. Now, the thing I forgot to mention here earlier is I have parchment paper, and unfortunately my air fryer has a non-stick coating on the inside, which I do not like to consume food out of non-stick coatings. So I'm gonna line it with parchment paper, which will also reduce the mess, and it's gonna make it very, very easy to put this in there and take it back out. All right, parchment paper. Now the next thing is we're going to put some tallow on this parchment paper to make sure it does not stick. So this tallow is absolutely fantastic. This is what tallow should look like. If you ever buy tallow and it's yellow and runny, then it is not real tallow. Tallow comes from beef suet, and it should be white at room temperature and hard. So I'm just gonna put some of that on there, and I'm just gonna rub it in, kind of like I'm rubbing chalk on a chalkboard. All right, I'm gonna leave those chunks on there because I love extra fat, and then this chicken is going right on top. So if you haven't already guessed, the chicken is going to make the pocket of the Hot Pocket. All right, so we're just gonna lay this out, and you wanna get it kind of as thin as you can without actually like breaking through it and making it super thin where you can see through it essentially. So I'm just gonna kind of knead this out, I guess you could say. Get a good flat surface, get it kind of consistently round so that I can basically fill it up with meat and get ready to pop this thing in the air fryer. All right, I would say that looks pretty good. Kind of laid out like a little pizza pie there. Now the only thing left is to put our filling in there. Now the great thing about this is you can make this however you want. If you don't want to put hamburger in there, you don't have to. If you don't want to put sausage in there or cheese, you don't have to. You can fill this thing up with whatever you want. It does not matter. Whatever tickles your fancy. I'm a huge ground beef guy. I love local ground beef. That's what I'm putting in mine. I was digging through the freezer earlier. I saw the sausage in there. Kind of forgot I had it. So why not throw that in there too? If you like to spice your food, you can add some additional spices and seasonings in here. It's totally up to you. tailor this the way you want. It's gonna be absolutely phenomenal any way you go. All right, ground beef is in. Now I'm gonna throw my sausage right in there on top of that. This is gonna be freaking huge, by the way, but I cannot wait to dig into this thing once it's done, because I've done this before and they are absolutely freaking fantastic. All right, so next up is my liver. Now my liver is just a couple chunks here, so I am gonna cut it up, make it a little bit smaller so I can spread it out a little more evenly in there. And you don't have to include organs in this either. Again, I'm just doing this because it's what sounded good. I follow my gut, trust my intuition, and that's how I eat. That's how I've always eaten since I've been carnivore. All right, next up, I'm gonna grade my cheese, extra sharp cheddar. Now I'm only gonna put about half of this inside the actual pocket, and then the other half I'm gonna put on top. All right, that looks pretty good. And just like I mentioned before, if you don't tolerate dairy, don't add it. This is just something that sounded really good to me, so I'm including it. Now I am gonna put me a dash of pink Himalayan salt on the inside too. And then last but not least, we're gonna throw a dollop of Daisy inside here too. Now the good thing about Daisy, because I did look at a few different brands when I was in the grocery store earlier, is this contains cultured cream, nothing else. So it seems pretty clean. I would say that it's probably the safest of the bunch if you're gonna use this. Again, if you don't tolerate dairy very well, don't include this. I personally don't know how I'm gonna react to this because I have not had this since I started my carnivore journey. I know before I handled it very well. When I got sick, I couldn't tolerate dairy at all. Now I can, so we're gonna find out. All right, so that's it. This thing is ready to be sealed up. Now to seal it up, all we have to do, got a chunk of tallow over here. All we have to do is just fold this baby over very, very carefully. And then this is another reason why I added the tallow on there, because peeling this back off can be kind of a challenge sometimes. But we want to peel this back, and if you kind of do it at a 180-degree angle here, usually comes off pretty easy. Bam, just like that. Look at that freaking pocket right there. This thing is huge. This is a lot of food. Again, over 4,000 calories. You could easily split this up into 2 or 3 meals, maybe even 4 if you're a small person. And this could feed you for a day, 2 days, just this one pocket for $7.40. Now the last thing we're gonna do, icing on the cake. We're gonna put this extra sharp cheddar on the outside so it gets good and crispy when it cooks in here. And this is gonna round out the ensemble. All right, this hoss is ready to go in the air fryer. Now, I hope it fits because this is quite a bit bigger than what I usually make. So we're gonna find out here. Oh yeah, it's gonna fit. Got quite a bit of space in there. So just come in here, and we're gonna lay this baby right down in the bottom of this pan here. And then I am going to trim off the excess parchment paper here. All right, pop this baby in. Now, I usually cook these at like 360 to 375 for 14 to 16 minutes. Since this thing is absolutely freaking massive, I'm gonna go on the high end of that. I'm gonna go 375. So we're gonna crank it up here, 370 since there's no 375. And then we're gonna do, we'll say 18 minutes, just be on the safe side because it is big. All right, and bam, start it up. I'll see you in 18 minutes. It must be nice to only have to wait a half a second. I actually had to wait the full 18 minutes, but this thing is actually done. So we're gonna pull it out. Let's see what we got here. Oh, man, I'm excited. I can't wait for you to see this. I feel like I'm at a gender reveal party and I just hit the lottery. So many emotions right now. All right, it's gonna be messy, I can tell you that. Look at this thing. The golden brown cheese on top. Freaking phenomenal. I'm telling you, you gotta try this. You have to try this. So I'm actually afraid to pull this parchment paper down because there's so much fat swirling around in here. But look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, so there's your Carnivore Hot Pocket. Now it is piping hot, so I'm gonna cut off a small piece. I had to bring out the big knife for this because it's gonna be a long cut. But man, I'm super excited about trying this thing. Oh yeah, she's definitely done. Definitely done. All right, let's see how this is. And just to add a little icing on the top here, I'm gonna put a little bit of sour cream on top of this piece. Hopefully cool it down a little bit too by doing this. Just a small amount here. Not bad. I kind of forgot how much I like sour cream. All right, moment of truth, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see how this thing is. It's very, very hot. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's freaking phenomenal. And you can taste the sausage in there, even though I barely got any of the meat inside on that bite. Yeah, this is the jam right here. It's a jam. I'm gonna dig into this. I'm gonna tear this thing up. All right, so I know the moment everyone's been waiting for, aside from seeing how this turned out, is the macro and micronutrient breakdown. So we're gonna go through this real quick, hit some of the key highlights. So this was 4,204 calories. It is 67% fat and 32% protein. That's a pretty darn good fat to protein ratio for just throwing together a bunch of meat. All right, so all my B vitamins, I pretty much almost maxed all these out. I'm gonna put all this information on the screen, but B vitamins are almost all maxed out except B1. I got vitamin C, D, E, K. I got calcium. I got over half the RDA of magnesium. I got 19% manganese, which is pretty freaking fantastic. And potassium was almost maxed out as well. And then of course, everything down the list from there, proteins and essential amino acids, are gonna be maxed out because meat and animal products are extremely complete protein sources. And this particular Hot Pocket had 318 grams of protein and 314 grams of fat. Pretty amazing. That's a lot of nutrients in this little pocket right here, I'm telling you. So I would say that when it comes to nutrient density, this joker right here is gonna be pretty hard to beat. It's phenomenal. I'm gonna dig into this because this is actually my dinner, so I'm gonna chow down, but I mean, hopefully you guys like this. If you did, comment the word Hot Pocket below and, you know, help push the algorithm. Let's get this out there so more people can see this recipe, because this actually is a very, very phenomenal recipe. It's a very phenomenal food. And if you've got events or something like that coming up and you want to make some food to take out there with you, this is the way to go. And if you plan on trying this, let me know down below. And feel free to follow up with me and let me know how it turned out. And I am going to put the full recipe for this down in the description below, so be sure to go down there. You can pull that out, save it, pass it on, share it, whatever you want to do. So be sure to drop a like below, subscribe, join the Apex tribe, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, peace out.